some minimum rockets from Yemen, from Gaza, but nothing serious, like only the remnants. But sadly, this means it's going to take more time. It's going to take another few years at least. But anyhow, we're thriving. We're thriving, and like praise God, we're not directly affected. All right, like other places, which is much more harder. Like in Gaza, definitely people are breaking out, but we still in Israel, the life is pretty normal. We have tourists. We have at the moment a small group, 8 people, a mission group, touring in the country, enjoying their time because it's very safe in Israel. And I want to encourage the two leaders. This is, if you want to come and enjoy the Holy Land for yourself, this is the time. Don't wait until next year when our country gets bombarded with tourists. But now it's very safe, actually, very safe. And there are few groups at the moment. These are the two leaders who think out of the box, who can enjoy during the Holy Land, during this interesting times. All the touristic sites are open, even they are upgraded, there are new sites. So again, Israel is ready to welcome people to the Holy Land. And I hope everyone is having a great weekend with your families, with your loved people as well. And we're gonna start like in 5 minutes. Andrea would like to share something before we start as well.
Yes, thank you, Tony. I am in Nebraska. I am in the United States. Snow. Outside is snow. It is really different part of the world. I'm enjoying it. And I am here. I'm going to be teaching today, actually, in the evening about my new book. I just released a new book. I have a copy in my hand. Here is it. 350 pages of my new book. Today will be my first book tour. I'm going to be teaching and sharing with people about Christians of the Holy Land. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be sharing more. I'm going to be for two weeks. And then I'm going to go to Iowa, to Sioux City, and another 2 churches. I'll be sharing about the Christians of the Holy Land. And I want to share with you now, the ones who are online on social media, what to expect. And here is our website. And if you want more teachings, we have the academy. And this is Andrea and Tony. Guess who's Andrea, who's Tony? If you write in the chat, who's Andre and who is Tony?
It's
I give you
obvious, Andrea. It's obvious.
a hint. Not for everyone, Tony. The one with beard and the one with no beard. So tell us who's Tony, with beard or without beard, or Andre. Just put beard and the name on the chat. And this is the academy. We have so much courses here, and we have a membership, monthly membership, only $25 for thousands of videos of teachings. And then we have a yearly annual build. And this is, you can get a lot of teachings from Hebrew and Aramaic, and a lot of lectures, virtual tours, tour in Israel for 10 days. So a lot of courses. And also there are free courses and paid courses. If you go here, paid courses, you're going to have the book of Daniel. This one I'm going to do very soon about the Aaronic blessings, verse by verse, linguistics. I'm going to take it from the Hebrew. And then unveiling the difficult sayings of Jesus. Tony will do one of the lectures today. And then we have, of course, our books on the website. And then the most important is I want to share with the webinars. Here we have a webinar that every week we have a new webinar. So check this link, webinars always, because the next week we will have about the rapture, exploring Matthew 24 with Dr. Jerry Katzen, and he's going to take us in depth. So the ones you can register from now, you can go to reserve my spot, and we're going to continue learning about with Dr. Jerry about the end time series, and he will focus on rapture and its historical importance, and he gonna use scripture. He's a very, very well profound established teacher. So that will be for next week on webinars.
And
Also,
April, Andre. April will have more virtual tours in April.
yes, April will have also more virtual tours. So always check the webinars here. It's all free, these webinars. And then you can go to the podcast. I'm doing a deep, in-depth series about early church fathers, around 15 of them, Syriac church fathers. And you can hear the podcast on iPhone and iTunes, everywhere in social media, my podcast. And I just went done someone in the morning about John of Tella and the early church father, and it's about his life, where he was born. And these are Eastern church fathers that the West did not hear about, but they affected the Western mindset. Anyway, it's a very deep, and because Christianity started from here, Antioch, Syria, Jerusalem, the early church. So this is hidden jewels that the West do not know about the early church fathers. So I took them from the first century all the way from the first century, one by one. Okay, the importance of them from the time of Jesus, because these early church fathers, and many of them were with the apostles in the 70 AD and 35 AD. We have Ignatius of Antioch. He was with the apostles and the early church. So
Yeah,
this is how,
this is rich heritage that the West are not aware of at all.
yep,
And Andre, a reminder to go live as well.
yes. And this is here. If you like to donate for our projects, what we do, keep us teaching, keep us going, keeps the team in Israel. And if you want to do one-time blessings, a monthly is appreciated, and anything is appreciated. Any small amount will keep us going. So this is one thing. But now there's another thing I'm gonna share with about my book very quick. This is my book, and I want to tell you how you can find it. And you can go all the way to Amazon. And in Amazon, just let me check. All right. Let me go here. You can go to the website, put amazon.com, and you just write my name, ANDREMOURAK, and enter. And you will find all the books. And this is my book, paperback and Kindle. And if you did not get it yet, just get it. I'm so excited. Just it's in my hands. I just got it just yesterday on my hands. So it's a very thick book, by the way. Your mind will hurt when you read it, so you have to read it many times. Anyway, you can order it here, and it will be great. If you did order, I already have 5 stars. I have already 5 stars, one rating. And if you enjoying it, if you've been with me on tour, I will need a review. Please go here and give me a review. And also I'm 115 now. I was bestseller for a week. But if you want me to go back to bestseller, you just have to write a review. I need minimum 5 reviews this week. I don't have any yet, only one. And it's 115 in Christian Institute. I was like bestseller in all these categories. But now, not yet, but it's okay. And you can go all the way down and write a customer review here. So it will be appreciated if you write a customer review and give me 5 stars. And also
Even
to
negative reviews, Andre.
what?
Even negative reviews are welcome.
No negative reviews, Tony. No,
It
no.
will bring you more customers, Andre.
All all right. But as far as I know, Amazon would not like negative reviews. But for today, there will be a raffle. There will be a gift by the end of the Zoom. I will do a gift, an ebook for one of you. He gonna win an ebook and it will be sent to your email. So there will be a raffle. By the way, every week there will be a game. Every week there will be a raffle, and one will win the raffle. So if you're in social media, you see on, you can also put your name and enter and click on the link and enter the Zoom. Whenever you enter to the Zoom, with the free lecture, you're gonna have a free ebook of my Aramaic 10-day journey in Israel.
So
Thank
you
you.
mean one person is gonna win the ebook today if they
Yes,
still
one
need the
person
answer, right?
from the people here
Yeah.
gonna win the ebook. Thank you, Tony. You can
Great.
start
Thank
recording.
you, Andre. I'm gonna start recording. I'm gonna share the lesson today. Very interesting lesson. Great. Can you see it?
Yes.
Cool. I will start. This is like I'm gonna have like at least 7 lessons in this series on revealing the hard sayings of Jesus. And I'm gonna share today the first lesson. But of course, I've done an introduction webinar, and in that webinar, I discussed the importance of the context, and the difference between the Greek thinking, where I explained how A and B equals C, versus the Hebrew thinking, where A and B equals AB. So it's not only black and white thinking as in Greek mindset, it is more a deeper thinking. And many of the difficult sayings of Jesus are example of this dialect thinking, which means the Hebrew mindset were not comfortable with one sentence conclusion, all right? They were more comfortable considering like on the one hand, but on the other hand type of thinking. So this is called dialect thinking. And also in the introduction, I spoke about the importance of the key Aramaic and Hebraic root words that matters and its connection to the Torah, to the prophets, and the book of wisdom. And again, we're going to help you through this webinar. Rather than viewing these difficult sayings as obstacles, we can see them as invitations to grow, to learn, and even transform our understanding and transform our faith to grow in our faith. So viewing these challenges as invitations is gonna encourages our mindset to learn and be transformed and get a deeper spiritual connection. So this is my aim of this lesson that I'm gonna share with you. And again, because this we knew all these stories like and we read it so many times, but this time you're gonna see it from a different meaning. It's gonna impact our lives and beliefs. So we're gonna engage more deeply in our faith and like to be able to be overcomers and to be able to live his teachings in practical ways. So lesson one, I'm gonna share about like the vine and the branches when Jesus taught his this parable when he was uh, at the Passover dinner in John 15. So we're gonna examine like one of the difficult hard sayings of Jesus from several perspectives and delving more into the Aramaic and Hebraic root perspective of one of the words cuts off, all right? And together we're gonna explore more the cultural distinctions, the linguistics that we're gonna shape our understanding of the words of Jesus. So in John 15, when Jesus says, I am the true vine and my father is the gardener. So again, God is the gardener, and he cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit. Now this is like really interesting. Not fruitful branches are cut off. I mean, we're gonna like this is very hard. This is what really Jesus was saying. This is what we're gonna explore. And then it continues and says like believers are already clean through the words of Jesus, and like we will become more fruitful. Well, every branch that does not bear fruit he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. And how to remain in him. uh, so So we can't bear fruits if we don't remain in him. So how come he's gonna cut us off? You know, this is really strange. Believers must remain in Jesus to bear fruits and not develop their own branches, right? So we're gonna explain more about this in this lecture, in this interesting lesson, interesting perspective from a different lens, from the Hebraic and Aramaic roots. So this is the agenda of this seminar, this webinar. I'm going to start talking about the vineyard and the watchtower, the purpose of the watchtower, and why it was used at that time, why it was built, why do you need walls, and even more than that, we're going to have the biblical imaginary of the meaning of the watchtower. And then we're going to talk about establishing boundaries. Probably this is a new teaching for many people. Why we should define our vineyard and why we should make borders, and even more than that, what are the big stones in the fields, what are the small stones in the fields, and how the thorns and the weeds would come to the field and how we should deal with it. So very interesting. And then we're going to continue. And then we're going to continue with more the ancient vineyard practices. We're going to learn more about historically how growing methods of vineyards took place, especially growing them on rocks. And at that, I know in modern times we have bars and wires, but in the first century, they didn't use these bars and wires to grow the vineyards. They used the rocks. I'm going to explain more about it, and even more about the grape pressing and about this process and its symbol. And when Jesus talks to the Pharisees about the gnats and using the linen cloth and straining the grape juice, so a lot of teaching about that as well. And we all gonna relate it to the Last Supper and divine imagery, especially Jesus teaching at the Last Supper, which was very important teaching. And we're gonna more understand his words through the culture and the farming context, that the background I'll give you. And we're gonna know how and understand that it's God's grace and nourishing love that he was talking about. He was not talking about cutting off, all right? It's the opposite, right? How he is the true vineyard and how we should bind with him, all right? And because when difficult times gonna come, we will not wither, all right? So, but if we have we're taking from the true branch, from the true vine, then we'll be able to survive the summer and the difficult times. So this is, and then we're gonna end with a summary of this biblical imagery. Are you ready to start? I'm ready. Let's go in. All right, you can see a watchtower here and the vineyard. And again, what is a watchtower? Why it's used, right? And it's always in every vineyard in the first century. The vineyard is below and the watchtower is on top. But why do farmers need a watchtower in a vineyard? Mainly during the vineyard, during the vintage season, when the grapes are out. Now, somebody needs to watch the field so that the grapes are not going to be stolen. All right. So the watchtower, the vineyard and the watchtower is a simple structure that is used by the vine dressers to guard against thieves and even against other wild animals. So it really protects, this watchtower protects the harvest, the produce, the grapes from theft during the vintage season. But not only that, the animals that can also trod on the grapes. So the vine dresser and all his family come during the summer, the harvest season, and even sleep in this watchtower for a few overnights to prevent the theft and the wild animals from damaging their grapes, their products. And especially at the end of summer, it's like used for accommodations, and they often sleep in it to guard the vineyards, because definitely the thieves gonna come not during the day, but in the evening. So there were different methods of growing grapes in antiquity, and definitely the vineyards were created without today the modern bars that we see and the wires. For they didn't use that in the first century, and people now don't know that in the 21st century. So it's a very different way to grow the grapes. And the next slide, I'm gonna talk more about it. But the watchtower role ties into the biblical imagery, that it has really a biblical significance, symbolizing God as the vine dresser who's watching over his people, over his vineyard. And we know from Isaiah 5 that we are his vineyard. We are his people. Now, why establishing borders? Why a farmer needs to build walls around his field with big stones? Now, definitely the watchtower and the stones of the watchtower and of the wall around the field would come from the field itself. So you definitely need to prevent animals and even people from trampling into your land, all right? Without these boundaries, the field would become a common pathway for everybody. So definitely, like, it's not good if everybody comes and steps on your field, people or animals. They're gonna make the soil not good, all right? They're gonna not good for planting. So likewise in our life, we must establish healthy boundaries. So otherwise our life become like very hard, will become barren, where thieves and animals will stop and will step on it all the time, all right? And it won't be a healthy soil to plant seeds in it. So definitely we have to define our borders, and it's very important to protect like our spiritual and emotional like life, all right, and set these boundaries. And without a watchtower and without walls, we're gonna risk losing the integrity of our field, of our spiritual life. Now, these large stones, there are big stones in the field, so we can take these big obstacles in our spiritual life and make it useful to build the tower and to build the walls. So when it's not easy to remove these big stones, I know we need to work harder, but it is essential. Instead of ignoring like our struggles or our big stones that spiritually like make us weak, we sometimes choose to cover them with a thin layer of soil, but if wind comes, it's going to expose them again. So we must work hard, all right, and extract them out and use them to build watchtowers and to build strong walls. Now, there are also small stones inside every field, but these are the everyday challenges we get to, like the sins of other people and minor troubles we face. But you know what? Though they seem insignificant, these small pebbles in every field, yet they serve a purpose. I want to say it's necessary sometimes to have these small challenges and troubles in our field, in our life. So because I don't know if you're aware, but farmers know that these small pebbles cool the ground, they allow the dew to come into the soil, so they are refreshing for our spirits. So these small troubles, we have to face them, all right? And this to stay strong, all right? If we take it easy, if we take it for granted, we will become lazy spiritually, I'm talking about. But again, we also have to deal with thorns and weeds that not only the small stones in the field, but the wind sometimes gonna carry like these thorns and weeds into our field, and the word definitely brings us distractions. There are negative influences as well and trials into our lives, and everybody sure know where are the thorns and the stones in our lives. And again, we should not ignore them. We should not ignore that, else together they will build up and cause more damage, and it's going to be more difficult to to clear it. So we must manage like our internal pressures. These are the small stones before our external ones, before they like the thorns and the weeds, else they're gonna overwhelm us, and like they're gonna make damage when the not in the right time, like a boiling pot. Think of a boiling pot. We must not open it suddenly, all right? We must work on it slowly, else like if we open suddenly, it's gonna spill everywhere. And even if we just ignore it and don't think about it and try to just ignore it, what will happen if it's not opened slowly? It's gonna explode. And you know what? When it's gonna explode at the wrong time. So again, it's not what happens to us, but it's how we respond. So this is again our journey. And in this journey, we don't have shortcuts. We have to work hard in our fields, but we know that God is the gardener and He's watching. And it's not always that we inherit the perfect soil from our parents, all right? Yet we labor so that our children may enjoy the fruits of our labor. So God's blessings are not always easy, but they always lead us to deeper knowledge of Him. So the sooner we start working on our fields and removing especially the big stones, the big obstacles, the sooner we're gonna see the harvest. All right. I know it's difficult, but God asks us with His help to remove them. And getting more into the historical growing methods, especially in the first century, in ancient vineyards, in the techniques of the first century, definitely there were no, like, as I said, there were no wires. Of course, like they didn't have these bars that we do use today in our vineyards. So the grapes, as you can see here, they grow on the ground. This is very important to understand. So the ancient method of growing grapevines was without using the modern T-shaped bars, was only using the rocks in the field for support as the grapes grew on the ground. So again, these historical practices illustrate, and this connects us more to the words of Jesus in John 15. I am the vine, you are the branches. So in ancient vineyards, grapes grew on the ground, being lifted up on the rocks without the use of any bars or wires. So rocks were used to lift up these growing branches to grow naturally, all right? Preventing them from rooting and losing connection with the mother vine. So if you don't lift up the grapevine, it's gonna come on the ground and gonna make its own root. But the gardener, with his mercy, right, he lifts up these branches so they can grow more naturally, all right? And because if he doesn't lift it up, then eventually it's gonna cause withering, especially during when we have the dry months and summer comes. So the branch will not hold on its own, all right? It has to be always connected to the mother branch to be able to survive. So the rocks are placed next to each other in a vine, and the purpose was to keep the vines off the ground, maintaining the vine growth. And as they grow, this would prevent the vines from rooting at multiple points, so using the rocks to elevate them. without bars, all right? We have to know that, without wires. So the grapevines were growing along the ground, supported by these big stones. So because the vine may lose connection with the mother vine and risk withering during the dry month if it is not lifted up. So every vine has a couple of rocks next to it, and the purpose of that is to keep them off ground. Now, this is very important to understand, all right? You have to keep lifting the branches up on the rock as they get further away, because if it touches the ground, it will make a root at that point. And then what probably going to happen? It will wither. Its connection with the deeper root of the mother vine, especially when we get to the 5 months of no rain. So especially like after April, in May, June, July, and August, and even September. So in the Holy Land here, the grapes come out in summer, in August and as well September. So the ones not connected to the strong mother branch, definitely a big possibility that it's gonna wither. So this imaginary illustrates the connection to the Bible text that relates to Jesus' words in John 15, I am the vine and you are the branches. I'm gonna even talk more about like the process of cultivating the vine. Now, as you can see here in the picture, people are stomping with their bare fruits. So you're gonna bring the grapes from the vineyard, and you can see how people are holding ropes, and holding onto the ropes, they start stomping. So after you got the grapes in this basin, and of course you have to remove off your sandals and got to do it bare feet. Hopefully your feet are clean. Otherwise, it would be like if you have your sandals, it's gonna make the grapes sour because you're gonna scrap the pits. So definitely people do it barefoot. Also, it adds to the aroma of of the grape juice later. Anyways, now they're gonna collect it in a vat, as you can see here in a second stage after the residue is settles down. So it's a second stage where it gets more pure and it's gonna dribble down. And this is your collection vat, all right? So the collection vat, you have to know, is a symbol of content and satisfaction and happiness because, as I told you, the grapes come out the end of summer just when your water cisterns are drying up. So the Lord gonna give you the fruit of the vine. So for the Jews, this is like an overwhelming cup of wine. My cup overflows. All right, this is joy. And this is a very strong symbol in the Bible. Now, remember how the mindset, the Middle Eastern mindset works. We have this like dialect, double dialect. So the stomping of that up here is a symbol of judgment, the grapes of wrath that Jesus talks about. It represents like it's associated with the crushing and with judgment as well. And you hear this like when an army, an enemy comes marching in, so trodden under the foot of your enemy. All right, so that's a symbol of judgment and crushing, whereas the collection, that is more a symbol of content and happiness. And this is deeply biblical. So it represents overflowing of joy. It's associated with abundance. God is providing after the dry summer. So this contrast after the winter is finished and the summer is coming. So this contrast between judgment and joy, crushing versus overgrowing wine, mirrors the biblical like mindset. And in the Bible, The stomping vat symbolizes judgment, while the collection of vat represents the abundance and the joy. And we're gonna see now how then they're gonna bring it and put it in their jars here. We're gonna learn more about the process of straining and more understand the sayings of Jesus, because in ancient times they used a linen cloth to strain the juice, right? To put it in the jars and to remove the impurities like the flies, like the gnats, like the ants. So you take that juice from the collection vat and you put it here in the jars, and it strains through the linen cloth, like you can see here, an ancient like Mediterranean wine sets here. Now you have to use a linen cloth, all right, to strain the juice, all right, to remove all the impurities, as I said, like the flies and the gnats and other kind of insects. But there is here a religious metaphor. Remember Jesus saying some religious people, he's talking about the Pharisees, they strain a gnat and swallow a camel. What did Jesus mean by that? Yes, flies, gnats, animals, again, ants, small insects. It's the end of summer, so you have to strain it. A gnat is unclean, and also a camel is unclean. And we've all met a lot of people who are worried about a gnat, but they are ready to swallow a camel every day too. So these are the Pharisees in the time of Jesus, some Pharisees that don't trust your juice. And when they come for you over dinner, and before you pour for them the wine in the cup, they're gonna bring out a little piece of cloth. They're gonna bring out their own linen cloth, and they're gonna put it over the cup and strain it one more time. So Jesus used this metaphor, this process, and saying like similar like to Pharisees who strain wine to avoid unclean gnats, highlighting how they focus on minor issues while ignoring the major ones. So again, this reference of Jesus saying about straining a gnat and swallowing a camel, or the practices of these Pharisees to avoid the unclean small insects, and who focus on minor issues, but they really ignore the major ones and the major problems as well, actually. Now, this is like the climax of the webinar here, to understand more the vine and the branches, and to understand the teachings of Jesus, especially when he said that at the Last Supper. So if we're gonna go back, when he says, I am the vine, you are the branches, abide in me, what is really it means. So as we understood, everybody knows, if we don't keep the vine off the ground, as I have explained, it will make its own nourishment and stop at one point, because won't be able to survive the summer. So vines need to be kept off the ground on the rocks to receive nourishment from the mother vine, all right? Actually, if the branch is not lifted up, then it will develop its own root, as I said, and it will not survive from the main root. And thus, it's gonna get weaker and weaker, and mostly will not survive the dryness of the summer. So today in the 21st century, people may not understand this concept because they don't know the ancient ways of and the way of farmers, how they used to grow the vineyards on the rocks and not on barbs and on bars and wires like today. So the translators have put, like, instead of lifting up they write taking away or cutting off. So again, understanding the first century culture and farming methods gonna help us better understand the Bible. I'm gonna talk more a little bit about this inside the translation from the Hebrew and Aramaic. So the same word take away or cut off in Hebraic, in Aramaic, means different meaning. It means to lift up. So you see this word nasa, noon, sheen with the stop, will full stop will be seen, and aleph, nasa. So instead of understanding any branch that bears no fruit, I will take away, I will cut off. This is a hard saying, all right? That word is totally the opposite. It's to lift up. So the Hebraic and Aramaic word for taking or cutting away actually means to lift up with his one's hands. The farmer cares. He's going to come with his hands and lift up the weak branch and put it on the rock. Nasa literally means to raise from the ground, to elevate, to carry, to remove from one place to another place. If it got attached to the soil or got attached to anything, that's the hand of God gonna carry it off and gonna exalt it, support it, aid it, and assist it. Actually, if I want to take it to a more deeper level, the word nes in Hebrew means a miracle. So this is the miracle, the life-changing by this merciful God who's gonna lift us up on the rock and allow us to grow from his branch and give us life changing. This is the miracle, all right? Even the word Nasih in Hebrew means a prince. He is gonna never cut off. It is the opposite. So instead of cutting off, it's more elevating. It's the bringing up the value of the believer, all right? Now, again, when you stack like the branches onto the rocks, it's definitely a very different feeling than cutting off. Between like taking away or lifting up, there is a big difference. Now, here's Jesus is saying, I'll help you keep your nourishment based on my deeper root so you can survive through the difficult times. So the lifting of branches symbolizes, thankfully, God's grace and his nourishing love, which ties to the message of Jesus at the Last Supper. It was his very important words, all right? Keep nourishment based on Jesus' deeper root. So he emphasizes to stay connected to him, to be able to flourish, all right? He used this metaphor of vine and branches, highlighting the importance of being lifted up rather than being taken away. And definitely in John 15, verse 5, we can more understand. He's saying, I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. So this connection to Jesus' deeper root help us through our life challenges, all right? He's gonna lift us up all the time. It is interesting that Jesus' last saying for the disciples was, keep your nourishment in life based upon my deeper root, which is me, right? Yes, this will hold you through the times of drought, especially that he's gonna leave them very soon and be on the cross. So that was a very important teaching that Jesus gave on the Last Supper. And again, you can see the richness when we go back to the context of the first century and understand the real value of the true meaning of the word that sadly was missed with translation, got weaker and weaker. So I'm going to conclude, as Jesus is the true vine, And this is how he describes himself. And his father is the gardener, all right? So grapevines grew on the ground, supported by stones, as you can see here in the picture. And this method connects to Jesus' words. Branches that bear no fruit are to be miraculously lifted up with his own hands and put on the rock. So ancient vineyard practices, such as using rocks to elevate vines, connect to these teachings. It's no way cutting. It's no way destroying, all right? This is like God came with his grace, all right? This is the time of grace. So Jesus' analogy of the vine and branches emphasizes staying nourished. And how? Through him, all right? And he's gonna lift us up. He's gonna give us, do the miracle of helping us staying connected to him, staying on the rock, and he is the rock, all right? So maintaining vines involving lifting branches to keep them connected to the deeper root. So this is very fundamental to learn and to understand. And again, and this is only just, I used one sentence, and there are other fundamental and hard sayings of Jesus. And when we go back to the context in the first century, it will help us understand more what Jesus wanted to tell us and even transform our lives today in the 21st century. And this is going to give us an overcoming, all right, to live, to take care of our fields, right, and really to have a healthy soil where we're going to nourish and be fruitful as the Lord wants us to be fruitful. So great. I'm gonna stop the recording. So again, I don't know if you heard these teachings before, but again, this is like new insights that that the true meaning of the Bible can give us. You're welcome if you have any questions or if you want to share with us. And in a few moments, like we have 15 minutes, and also in a few moments, Andrea gonna do, before he does his raffle, anyone has something to add, to share, we can bless each other, encourage each other. And I want to thank everyone like coming to these webinars. And again, I want to ask you to tell your friends, your families.
There's a comment, Tony, if you read it.
Sure. Thank you for teaching us this truth. Praise God. Amen. Yeah, praise God. I know that the translators in our centuries, when they look at farms, they see bars and wires, and this is why they put cut off, you know. They don't see the first century farms, how people used to farm, right? Farming on stones. There's another comment. Thank you, Tony, for great teachings. Praise God, praise God. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for hearing our voices.
That was Reiko, and the one before was Robin also.
Okay. Robin also.
Thank you, Tony.
Welcome, Mr. George. Welcome. By the way, this is one lesson from, if you get like this paid course, you're gonna get at least 7 lessons, different lessons of the hard sayings of Jesus. And there are many examples that Jesus said hard sayings that I gave in the introduction. For example, other hard sayings are like, I'm gonna read for you some of the other hard sayings that we're gonna talk about. It's like for example, when Jesus says, if anyone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. What did really Jesus mean by that? It's not what people think from reading it that he turned the other side. No. It has to do with the way of the culture, how you slap people to really like from your hand from here, you slap them really to dehumanize them. And when it means you turn the other cheek, you means you're stronger. You're not. I'm gonna give you all that background to help you understand it better. So when you slap this with this hand, then this is when you turn your left to get the other cheek. So I'm gonna explain it more in the first century custom. Even like when Jesus says, like, if your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. So what did really Jesus mean by that? So these are some of the few hard sayings that I'm gonna share.
And Tony, that was very rich. And when they actually crushed the grapes, prepared them to produce wine, by doing it barefoot, it gave them more control of not to crush that inner seed that's in there that will make it sour, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Not like the olives. The olives, even you have to crush the seed because there is little oil in it. But the grapes, if you crush it, it's gonna give the sour taste. So you don't need to crush it. So you have to do it barefoot, actually. Yeah. And again, grapes, you have to know, or when we talk about wine, is not the wine that we drink today that is 14% alcohol. At that time, it was maybe 1%, 2%, and you're gonna mix it with the water because little gonna kill the bacteria in the water. If you want to survive, you have to have like the wine, right? To kill the bacteria in the water. And it adds to the taste of the water as well. So the really wine was joyful to have wine. To get drunk, you need to drink a lot of wine in the first century. They use it more than water, by the way, the wine. It's not fermented like today for years and in barrels and gets so much alcohol. But in the first century, it was used even more than water.
Tony, there's hands up. Seema, I have a question. I will handle the chat. Just to have a question for you.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you for the teaching, because when back in 1989, when my husband left me because I'm a Christian, I was given this verse at the time, and I kind of thought of it as something that, okay, God is taking away something in my life that was not positive, so that I can be strengthened in the faith. But the way that you presented it makes it more of a positive note, that God was lifting me up so that I would be strong, whether that situation happened or not. But because of the situation that happened, I was lifted up and I was encouraged to continue and to stay strong in the faith. So that verse was so important to me. But thank you for giving me a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, this is the miracle. This is the miracle.
Tone.
This is the miracle, right? I know, of course, judgment is coming, but now it's the time of grace.
Yeah.
So this is the miracle when he's gonna help us, lift us up, not cut us and put us down. But of course, judgment is coming for sure, right? But it is through his grace that we can be nourished, that can we, through abiding in him, that he can lift us up. That's the only way we can grow, all right? That's the only way.
Yeah, because God's always trying to support us, not tear us down.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I deeply appreciate the presentation today. For me, it was fresh. It was exhilarating, inspirational, and in the words of the Hebraic translation, for me, it was lifting up.
Thank you, Mr. James. Thank you.
Andre and Tony, be on the lookout for an email that I'm going to send you with a few ideas.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Anybody want to say something else before Andre starts his raffle? Before you're gonna get his new ebook. You're gonna get his new ebook. Anybody has any other questions before He does the raffle. Mr. Paul is saying, thank you, Tony. Andre definitely give me something to ponder. Praise God.
My book, if anyone did not get it, the physical book or the ebook. But now I'm gonna do a raffle on my ebook. And by the way, every week will be a raffle. Every week you will win something different. My ebook, Tony's ebook, or other things, or
Even my
courses
audiobooks you can get.
or audiobooks. So every week there will be something. So here is for the people who are online and social media, get it from Amazon.com. Go there and put my name, Andre Mubarak. And this is 350 pages. It's a hard read. You have to read it 5 times, minimum.
And Andre, before you do the raffle, we want to ask Dr. Jerry to share what he's going to talk about next week in a few minutes.
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Jerry. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, next week we will be talking about, I talked about the timeline of the end times where it started from church age, from the age past to the church age to the rapture, which we know that Christ is coming back. So we want to show you the difference from, the second coming and the rapture, what it means and how it's important for us to share the word to others because Christ is coming back for the church. And we need to be ready during these times as we see it get closer and closer. And he tells us no one know the day nor the hour, but we have to be on guard and be ready because we're going to talk about how the rapture is like snatching you away and he taking us in the air. So we're going to talk about that next week on where the concept comes from as well, rapture versus what it was called in biblical times. Thank you, Tony.
Very, very important subject, definitely.
And for the people who are online, they can go to Twins Biblical Academy and they can go all the way to webinars here. Webinars. Every week we'll update a new free webinar. And this is about today, what Tony shared. And this is for Dr. Jerry next week. And you put reserve my spot here, click, and then you click again. And this is about the event and the time. And when you reserve your spot, you put your name and your last name and your email, and then submit it. And then you receive an email with the Zoom link and the reminders. So always check webinars here. Now, time for the raffle. Are you ready?
Andre, before the raffle, there is a question. Are your books available in PDF or EPUB version?
Both, any version you want, any version you want. It depends on Amazon. It's on the ebook, but I have it also in PDF. If you want it, I can send it to you. Or also, if you win the raffle now, I can send it to you any form you want. So let us start. Andre's ebook for the people on the social media. You want to win an ebook of my new book, 10 Days Aramaic Journey in Israel? Go to Amazon.com. Or if you want to win it for free, you go to webinars.
Join our webinars.
Our webinars, each week there will be a raffle. And here we're gonna start. So we have with us Peter from Malaysia today. Peter from Malaysia, and we have with us also
James Moore.
Dr. James, Reiko, and George. You are with us, and Ethel, Craig. I don't know what is your name, iPad, but you're with us here, iPad. And Dr. Paul Wiltensu, and Rick Hens, and Seema. Seema is with us, and Eli is with us. So are you ready to spin? 1, 2, 3, and the winner is Peter from Malaysia. It's amazing. You won an ebook. Please send me your email on the chat. Put your email, and you are winning an ebook that took me 5 years of writing. It's hard, but it's worth it. All right, great. Thank you all.